Some machines are retired because they are old. Railroads do not think that way. On a highway, a 50-year-old truck is usually a collector piece, a farm backup, or a tired survivor waiting for a better owner. On the railroad, a locomotive built when bell-bottom jeans were still fashionable can still be earning money today, dragging grain cars, switching factories, pushing freight over grades, or sitting in the middle of a long train as a helper unit. That seems strange until you understand the railroad mind. Railroads do not throw away heavy iron just because time passed. They look at the frame, the engine, the traction motors, the wiring, the cost of repair, and the price of a replacement. If the old machine still earns more than it costs, it stays. Before we go deeper, my name is Gail. Vintage Vehicle X-Ray is built by a real team. We research the history, check specifications, write the narration, source photographs and clips, edit footage, shape sound, prepare the upload, and review the final video. Professional AI-assisted tools help organize parts of that work, but the judgment, storytelling choices, and final responsibility remain human. We work day and night because old machines deserve more than copied facts. Today, we are asking one question: why do railroads still run 50-year-old locomotives? To understand it, start with the locomotive everyone uses as the example. The EMD SD40-2. It first appeared in the early 1970s. Built by General Motors' Electromotive Division, it was a 6-axle freight locomotive with a long hood, a tough frame, DC traction motors, and a 16-cylinder EMD 645 two-stroke diesel engine producing 3,000 horsepower. That number matters less than how it delivered the power. The SD40-2 was not designed as a delicate machine. It was designed to work hard for decades. The engine block was heavy, the frame was massive, the electrical system was rugged, the traction motors were serviceable. The locomotive was not filled with fragile mystery. It was built so railroad shops could repair it again and again. That is the first reason these old units survive. They were made to be rebuilt. A locomotive is not like a modern car, where one electronic failure can make the whole thing feel disposable. A freight locomotive is a steel platform carrying replaceable systems. The diesel engine can be overhauled. The generator can be rebuilt. Traction motors can be removed. Wheels can be changed. Air brake equipment can be renewed. Wiring can be repaired. Cabs can be upgraded. Control systems can be modernized. As long as the frame is good, the locomotive still has a future. That frame is the skeleton. Everything else can be treated like organs, muscles, nerves, and skin. Remove the worn parts, rebuild the systems, put it back together, and the old machine begins another working life. That is why a locomotive can have a build date from the 1970s and still not be the same machine it was on day one. It may have a rebuilt engine, new wiring, replacement trucks, updated radios, fresh paint, modern safety equipment, and a different job on a different railroad. The number plate may be old. The working life is constantly renewed. The second reason is economics. A new freight locomotive costs millions of dollars. For a major railroad, buying a few units is possible. Replacing hundreds at once is another story. Locomotive money competes with track repair, bridge work, signal upgrades, yard expansion, fuel systems, terminals, and technology projects. Railroads are not poor, but they are careful. A rebuilt older locomotive can cost far less than a brand new one. It may burn more fuel and lack the latest electronics, but for many jobs, that does not matter enough to justify the extra cost. Think about a short-line railroad. It may run only a few dozen miles. It might move grain, lumber, chemicals, scrap metal, or stone. It does not need a brand new high-horsepower locomotive built for long intermodal trains across mountain grades. It needs something that starts every morning, pulls 20 cars, switches an industry, and can be fixed by people who know old diesel-electric power. For that railroad, a rebuilt SD40-2, GP38-2, or similar older unit is not second best. It is the correct tool. The third reason is the secondary market. Old locomotives do not simply vanish when a big railroad finishes with them. They are sold, leased, stored, rebuilt, repainted, renumbered, and moved into new lives. A unit that once hauled coal for a giant Class I railroad might later switch a steel mill, pull grain on a regional line, or work for a leasing company. This is a whole industry. Brokers move locomotives between owners. Rebuild shops tear them down and bring them back. Parts suppliers strip dead units and save components. Leasing companies place power where small railroads need it, but cannot afford to buy new equipment. One locomotive can pass through several owners over its life. A big railroad may retire it from mainline service. A regional railroad may use it for another 15 years. A short line may buy it after that. Then, an industrial plant may use it as a switcher. By the time it is truly finished, it may have worked longer than the careers of the people who first maintained it. There is also a human reason. Railroad mechanics know these old machines. A veteran diesel mechanic can hear a 645 engine and know when something is not right. A rough idle, a turbocharger note, a change in smoke, a slow-loading generator, or a weak traction motor can tell an experienced worker what the manual cannot say quickly enough. That knowledge has value. When a railroad owns equipment its people understand, repairs are faster and cheaper. The parts are familiar. The procedures are known. The failures are predictable. The tools already exist in the shop. A brand new locomotive may be cleaner and more efficient, but it also brings new software, new sensors, new diagnostics, and new training. For a small operator, simple can be more valuable than advanced. That does not mean old locomotives are better in every way. They are not. Modern AC traction locomotives have enormous pulling ability, better adhesion control, improved fuel efficiency, advanced diagnostics, better crew safety, and cleaner emissions. On heavy mainline trains, they are often the smarter choice. But railroads have many kinds of work. Not every job needs the newest machine. A local freight crawling through industrial tracks does not need the same locomotive as a mile-long intermodal train. A yard switcher does not need 4,000 horsepower. A branch line with light rail may not even want the weight of the newest six-axle giants. That is where old power survives. It fits the job. Now look at what happens during a serious rebuild. The locomotive enters a shop tired, faded, oily, and sometimes half dead. The prime mover may be smoking. The wheels may be worn. The cab may smell of old dust, brake oil, coffee, and years of crews climbing in with wet boots. Then the teardown begins. Panels come off. The engine is opened or removed. The generator is inspected. Traction motors are pulled. Wiring cabinets are checked. Air brake equipment is replaced or rebuilt. Trucks are separated. Wheels are changed. Radiators, fans, pumps, injectors, bearings, hoses, and cables are inspected. A locomotive rebuild is not a quick polish. It is industrial surgery. The engine shop measures liners, pistons, rods, bearings, crankshaft surfaces, and seals. The electrical shop tests windings, insulation, motors, contactors, and generators. The truck shop works on wheels, springs, bearings, brake rigging, and frames. When the locomotive returns to service, it may still be old on paper, but much of the machinery has been renewed. That is why age alone does not tell the full story. A poorly maintained 20-year-old locomotive can be worse than a carefully rebuilt 50-year-old one. Railroads know this. They count condition, not birthdays. Environmental regulation is another part of the story, but it must be understood carefully. New locomotives built today must meet much stricter emissions rules than older units did when they were built. Tier 4 standards made new locomotives cleaner, but also more complex and expensive. Older locomotives can continue operating under rules tied to their build and rebuild category, as long as repair work follows the applicable regulations. This creates a complicated balance. Railroads want cleaner and more efficient power, but they also have existing fleets that still work and cost less to keep alive. So the old locomotives remain, especially in jobs where the economics favor repair over replacement. But nothing lasts forever. There are places in the American West where old locomotives sit in long rows under dry desert sun. Some are waiting for buyers. Some are stored for parts. Some will never run again. Their engines have been drained. Their traction motors may already be gone. Their paint is faded into strange layers of railroad history. Walk past them, and you can read the past in color. Burlington Northern green, Santa Fe yellow, Conrail blue, Union Pacific Armor yellow, Southern Pacific gray, patch paint, leasing marks, numbers painted over numbers. Every locomotive has a biography. Some died because the frame cracked. Some became too expensive to rebuild. Some were stripped so another unit could live. Some were parked when traffic dropped and never called back. Eventually, the math turns against every machine. When the cost of repair becomes greater than the value of future work, the locomotive becomes steel, copper, parts, and memory. But railroads delay that day as long as they can. That is not sentimentality. It is business. And now the future is arriving slowly. Battery electric locomotives are being tested. Hydrogen fuel cell locomotives are being explored. Hybrid systems, regenerative braking, renewable diesel, and new control systems are all part of the conversation. But replacing the North American diesel-electric fleet is not like replacing phones or pickup trucks. Railroads need machines that can pull thousands of tons across deserts, mountains, plains, storms, heat, snow, and isolated territory. Fueling infrastructure matters. Range matters. Reliability matters. Shop training matters. Parts supply matters. A technology that works in a demonstration still has to prove it can survive decades of railroad abuse. And railroads move carefully. They always have. That is why the 50-year-old locomotive still has work to do. It may not lead the fastest train anymore. It may not wear its original paint. It may not have the prestige it once had. But in a yard, on a local freight, on a regional railroad, or in a helper role, it still earns its place. There is something honest about that. A locomotive is not kept because people feel sorry for it. It is kept because it works. It starts in the morning. It loads. It pulls. It brakes. It moves cars that need to be moved. It brings freight to customers who do not care what year the locomotive was built. They care whether the train arrived. That is why railroads still run 50-year-old locomotives. Because they were built heavily. Because they can be rebuilt. Because new power is expensive. Because the work does not always demand the newest technology. Because shops know them. Because parts still exist. Because the frame is still sound. And because railroads respect useful steel. The next time you are stopped at a grade crossing, look closely at the locomotives passing in front of you. One may be older than the highway you are sitting on. It may have survived mergers, bankruptcies, repainting, rebuilds, new owners, new rules, and generations of crews. And still, when the throttle opens, it answers. That is not nostalgia. That is railroad engineering doing what it was designed to do. I'm Gail, and on behalf of the Vintage Vehicle X-Ray team, thank you for watching. Take care of the old machines. We will see you next time.